Grand Rising, gods and goddesses. It is yours truly, Zaya the Lotus, back again to help overgivers who struggle to speak their truth and be themselves, craft and implement the ultimate blueprint to total life transformation through alchemy, psychology, herbology, and divination. I keep leaving off divination, and that's a very important part of the work that I perform. So this morning, I want to talk about social constructs and really get into defining them, giving some examples of them, and also comparing them to the universal laws that they originate from. Okay, so let's get into it. A social construct is simply a man-made rule that instructs a group of people on how they should carry themselves. So some examples of social constructs would be race, gender, socioeconomic status. Then you can get into those sub-constructs that we create based on aesthetic, based on the kinds of relationships that we want to be in, based on the kind of crowd that we want to be a part of. And social constructs really were created mainly to establish a hierarchy in which one group of people who are the quintessential ideal prototype for that construct are the top of the pyramid, and everyone else who is not falls within a hierarchy based on how similar or how different they are from that construct. Okay, so like I said, race is a social construct, beauty is a social construct, gender is a social construct, socioeconomic status is a social construct, and we can just keep class. Well, socioeconomic status and class are kind of similar. That's a social construct. So when we think about social constructs and where they originated from, like I said, they truly originate from universal laws, divine law. If you look at the Hermetic laws, these are, I call them the 7 laws of Tahuti. They are widely known in contemporary society as the 7 Hermetic laws because Hermes is the Greco-Roman version of Tahuti. Tahuti is the Kemetic deity of knowledge, philosophy, art, science, magic, so on and so forth. Okay? Essentially, Tahuti is a symbol of intellect. He is a symbol of law and structure. He is the male counterpart to Mayat, who is also law, well, not necessarily law, but order, right and wrong. What is natural order, what is naturally right and wrong. She is a feminine energy. She is the potential of law and order. Okay, she is not within the Comitian pantheon. She is actually her and Tahuti are actually outside of the Comitian pantheon. They just exist. They are spiritual principles that exist beyond the pantheon of different gods known as the Paiuti. Okay, so when you talk about the 7 Hermetic laws, some of those laws are the law of gender, which simply states all and nearly everything in society has a masculine and feminine element to it. You cannot have creation without the masculine and feminine element. They are complementary energies. They are not opposite of one another. They need one another in order to be able to balance each other out and properly function. That's one Hermetic law. Then you have another Hermetic law of what I think is cause and effect. Then you have so many other laws that have, you know, been created based on those original 7. But social constructs are simply bastardized versions. Hey, Auntie. Hey, Steve. Hey, the gift. I think, is that Justin? I got my loved ones on here this morning. Thank y'all for joining. But yeah. So social constructs are simply bastardized versions of universal laws that Greeks and Romans, Europeans in general, created to establish power so that they can establish themselves. When I say they, European men, in all their whatever they had going on, and all their pedophilia, and all of their homosexuality, and all of their need to control and conquer and things of that nature. Those social constructs were created out of that. Many of the social constructs that religion is also another social construct, okay? And so religion in itself has its own institution of social constructs that were really curated by the Roman Catholic Church, known as the Vatican. The Vatican stood side by side, hand in hand, with the conquerors and the colonizers who went out into the world and colonized various parts of Africa. They went in, you know, raped, pilfered, stole so many sacred texts, sacred artifacts, and took them back to Europe and put them on display in various museums throughout the country. But if you ever visit the Vatican and go down into the catacombs, then you know the origins of culture, society, and spirituality. Okay? And you know that they're black. So when we fast forward to the social constructs that we have now, such as race. Race was a social construct that was created in order to be able to establish control, okay? Because before race became such a big thing, poor people were poor people, okay? And the Europeans of the aristocracy who were going out and conquering and things of that nature, they had poor people in their societies who were pissed off at them for the way that they handle society. And so in order to have more allies to be able to control the masses of slaves that were coming to this country, Africans outnumbered slave masters. So they had to have a way to control us. So they created the social construct of race and told poor, degenerate white people who had no education, no property, no title, and no station in society that we will give you all those things if you help us in keeping these slaves in check. Period. So race was a social construct created to divide and conquer so that those who created the whole institution in order to become rich off of free labor were able to maintain that control. Now, when we talk about race now as a social construct, hearing me say that, some people would say, well, if race is such a social construct, then why do you talk so much about black issues and black family and black this and black da-da-da? Because the fallout, the consequences, and the suffering that we as black people have had to experience and continue to endure at the hands of that social construct is very real. The pain is real. And we need to have a system of being able to come up out of that. We need to have, that's why they call people like me woke, because I understand the way I understand the way systems work. I can break down to you how those systems affect you and influence you, and then I can empower you with universal laws, psychology, and elements of the earth to break free of that oppression. So when you begin to understand that social constructs are merely what they will call a matrix, and you have the choice of whether you want to be a slave to them or not, then you become dangerous, because now you are empowered. You get to choose. But see, the painful part of it is, in the process of awakening and transcending, you will find yourself isolated from some of the people that you love and respect the most, because they are more comfortable and feel more safe operating within the constructs of these social within the constraints of these social constructs. So race is one. We've broken down race. Let's talk about gender, since it's a very relevant topic right now, and it really relates, and that's something that I'm working through with my sisters at this time. Hey April, hey Shakara, thanks for coming on here. Okay, Shakara, I don't know if I'm saying, is it Shakira or Shakara? Put the proper enunciation in the comments so I can make sure I'm addressing you properly, Queen. Because I always mess myself up with your name, and there's one other person that from being social, I used to mess their name up, and I used to have to correct myself. So let's get into gender. Gender is a social construct, and gender norms are a social construct because of the behaviors that white men have told us are associated with masculinity and femininity. The ideas of the masculine and the feminine in African culture and black people's culture, okay, Shakira, I got you, boo. And black people culture is very different from the norms and the expectations of what white people would describe as masculinity and femininity. White men describe masculinity as dominance, as control, as really that's it, as hyper aggression. That's how they depict masculinity, right? And they make black men the exactly, Steve, toxicity. That's what toxic masculinity is. That's where the term toxic masculinity come from. Toxic masculinity and patriarchy are one and the same. Okay? So when we talk about divine masculinity simply taps into the feminine and the potential of the feminine, the creativity of the feminine, and helps to give its shape and structure, period. A masculine cannot properly operate in divinity without connecting to and tapping into the feminine. Now, this relationship of synergy and immaculate conception, the results of what comes from the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together, is what we would call immaculate conception. Now, Christianity said that immaculate conception was the process of some ghost spirit coming into Mary and creating Jesus, and that's not it. Immaculate conception before the Vatican and the Nicene Council and all these people came together and made a conceptual story, a literal story, and shoved it down our throats and forced us to pledge our allegiance and belief to it, was the fact that when man and woman come together, when a divine masculine and a divine feminine come together and procreate, that is immaculate conception, because it is the perfect conception of spirit and matter. A child is the most is one of the purest forms of humanity that we have on this earth. And that's why it's so important for us to protect their innocence, because they are not yet conditioned to hate themselves. They are not yet conditioned to hate others. They are not yet conditioned to cause harm. They are not yet conditioned to categorize people into hierarchies and then assign value and worth based on that category and that hierarchy. Hey, Isis! That's what immaculate conception is. Okay, so let me get back to the social construct of gender. So the social construct of gender says femininity is about wearing dresses. It's about wearing makeup. It's about being pretty. It's about being soft. It's about being submissive. That's not what it is. That's not what femininity is. Femininity is about just existing and allowing things to flow freely, not forcing anything, being magnetic. Yes, I am. You know, I always been like that, though. That's what femininity is, though. Now, when a woman does, I'm about to split some wig caps back with this one. The moment that I decide as a woman to put the makeup on, to put the lashes on, to do the hair up, to slick these edges back, and to shape myself into a socially acceptable aesthetic to the people around me to be received well, that is my masculine energy giving shape to my feminine energy. So as a woman, I have the power to wield both my feminine and my masculine equally. And where the issue comes in is when women like myself, who are balanced in their masculine and feminine, and can use it to not only look beautiful and translate my shape my avatar into something that's socially acceptable when it comes to femininity, I can flip the switch and become a warrior. I can make shit happen. I can start a business, build it from the ground up, and go out and broker deals and partnerships to make things happen in a community. That's my masculine energy at its pinnacle. I can get on here and I can logically explain this stuff to you and break it down in a way where you overstand it. Because I'm gonna get into what overstand, understand, and understand mean, on another one. But to the point to where you overstand it, to where you have dominion over that knowledge. Overstanding is to have dominion over the knowledge. Understanding is to be submissive to the knowledge and not necessarily fully comprehend what it is that you're perpetuating. Understanding is to have an inner knowing that's irrefutable, without a shadow of a doubt. It is your intuition, it is your intellect, it is your umbilical cord to the divine. Understand it, overstand it, understand it. But as a divine feminine, right, because my energy, though I have both masculine and feminine in me, my electromagnetic field polarizes to a negative charge, which is a feminine charge. Which means when I'm out in society, I'm going to present as a woman what social construct dictates to be a woman. If I have the two pillars of heaven and the threshold of light between my legs, then I am a woman by social norms on this earth. That's another social construct. So the whole thing about social constructs is what we would call agreements. A social construct is only as powerful as the people who uphold it. That's very important for us to understand as Black people, because there have been many social constructs that have been created to not only oppress us and to suppress our power, but also to divide us, so that we are so distracted with coming at one another for which social construct is better than the other one, which one needs, you know, all these different things that we come against each other about, instead of looking at each one of those constructs for what it is, dispelling the myths about it, and pushing it to the side, and developing our own. What if we created new social constructs for our community, in which we agree to disagree on things in private and hash it out in private, and not on social media, not on TV, not tearing each other down? Just what if? What if we can put our beliefs about social constructs to the side when it comes to spirituality, and reach across the aisle to our fellow Christian man, to our witches, our hoodoos, our voodoos, our hoteps, and begin to see the commonality in one another, and agree to disagree on doctrine, but let that shit lie, but develop a system and a plan to uplift our people, in which we respect those boundaries. Just what if? Because right now, we ain't got the time to be fighting each other and excluding each other, because I decided to be Christian and you decided to be Muslim, and she decided to be a witch and he decided to be a hotep. All our asses need to come together, because you know what's happening on the international platform? The American dollar ain't worth shit no more. Some of the safest investments that have ever existed are plummeting in value. The easy hacks to becoming rich and wealthy and coming up out of the matrix are slowly being whittled away at by the American government with new laws. So your opportunity to come up out of slavery, the portal is closing, baby. The window of opportunity is closing on that. And we in a time where you used to be able to get it out the mud and come up on your own. We can't do that no more. In order to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are still available to us, it's time to come together and put all this other bullshit to the side. So when we talk about social constructs and how we use them to hurt one another and continue to oppress one another, it's important and imperative that we consider that this is not the same old, it is the same old story in a different day. But we don't have the luxury of waiting around and playing no more. So I just wanted to get on here and talk about that today, because understanding that social constructs are simply rules in society created predominantly by an individual who wants to be in control, who wants to be seen as the standard and the top of the pyramid. So I'm gonna leave you with some reflective journaling prompts, some things to meditate on, some things to be mindful of. What social constructs do you adhere to that keep you from embracing the people you love the most, the people you respect the most? You might not even love and respect these people, but you recognize that they have a power, a gift that you can learn from. What social constructs are you adhering to that keep you locked in a box and unable to fully embrace your power. I'll give you some examples. For myself, one of the greatest social constructs that I had to break free of was that I was ugly because I'm dark skinned. That as a smart, strong-willed, outspoken, dark-skinned woman, that I was going to be perceived as unattractive, undesirable, and an angry black woman. That is very true. Some people will perceive me that way. A lot of people will perceive me that way. But my truth is, I'm just a powerful goddess who came to give messages, who came to break generational curses, who is still desirable, who is still worthy of everything that her heart desires, that God put it on her heart to desire. And she will have that regardless of what social constructs may have to say about her. So that's just one example. So go back and see if are you holding on to social constructs that say because you came from a certain socioeconomic status that you can't be or do a certain thing, that you're not smart enough because you came from a certain place, that you can't step into certain rooms because you look a certain way, you talk a certain way, you walk a certain way. Whatever the social constructs are that may be holding you back from going after what it is that God has on your heart for you to pursue, I challenge you this morning to meditate on that and create a new normal for yourself. Create a new construct. Create a new narrative. Create one that is in alignment with your truth and not the lies that you were fed in order to keep you contained and suppressed. All right, y'all. Once again, I am Zaya the Lotus, and I love you to life, and I look forward to taking this journey with you. Peace, guys and goddesses.